Hello, I'm Joaquin Salvachua. I'm professor at Technical University of Madrid, and we are researching around data and how to share data with a paradigm that is right now trending in Europe that is called the data spaces. This is something that is special for Europe, and we will try to present some of the development that we are going to do here. The key is that we are foreseeing how we can connect everything with Agentic AI in order, first, that the Agentic AI uses this data that is inside the different data spaces, and later how it can collect and do the different workflows over the data using also the Agentic AI. So I will present the problem and describe what the data spaces is and what is related in Europe. We must take into account that it's not only a technical problem, it's also a political problem, because there is a lot of law regarding data and the roles the different companies will take in Europe in order to be able to have a sound use on this. We present this and how we connect this with the language workflow that we are right now defining. As I said, I'm professor at the Technical University of Madrid. My background is in computer science, and we mainly teach cloud infrastructure and big data infrastructure. The key for all these things is that we want to build something where we have data governance and data provenance with self-sovereign identity and being able to connect everything. This ecosystem is around different European initiatives like Spyware or Gaia-X or BDBA, que is the Big Data Value Association, and we are working with different standardization groups like UNES and CENELEC, W3C or ETF, in order that the components and the protocols that we are using here are standard. This is key because it's not important only to have open source. We are developing everything in open source. But for some things, you need open specification from the protocols. And you need to be in different organization groups where you can have all of this. We are inside a research group where we are doing all these kind of things, and we are very happy to present this work here. Our project is called Eunomia. That was the Greek for law and good law, and this is the name that we are choosing for the project because we have to have the right law over the data. Not only the physical law, but also protocols and components that enforce the properly use of data. This is key because they say the behaviors that are not allowed won't be able to be done by the people that want not to use the data in the right way. Right now, our mission, we want to have understand that LLMs is eating the world, but the LLMs, as you know, is large language model. This means that it's very good with words, but it's very bad with numbers. So if you need a prediction, you will need, still will need some kind of machine learning infrastructure. This means that an LLM, if it needs a number or a prediction of something, will need to first be able to access different data sources. These data sources, we will see, may require some negotiation about the possible conditions which data is going to be used. We will put all this data, train the model, use the data to make a prediction, and give the LLM this production. For this, we need also an agent that is able to do this process. This is the first step. We are seeing on the integration of the data and LLM's world, and this step is the first that we're using Agentic AI, but later Agentic AI will be able to use also these solutions to build new applications and new things that will be there. As you know, there has been very bad use of data. Well, Facebook, with the Cambridge Analytica problem, they give away the data without any control. This is not acceptable, and this, what this infer is that in Europe we have designed some laws to avoid this kind of evil behavior. As you know, even Facebook changed the name to Meta due to this kind of problem. Do we want to have this? The vision from Spain and other countries is that we want to have a data economy. We are not very good with manufacturers, we are very good with tourists and other things in Spain, and our government thinks that we have an opportunity if we are able to develop a data economy. Data economy means that the companies are not only using the data services, but they are selling data to other companies to build other kind of services. For example, the telecommunication companies may sell some information about the users in order people, for example, know the position where each person is. But they cannot sell data that shows exactly the position for one person, because this goes against the privacy laws. This means that they can sell this information if it's aggregated, for example. This will be in the conditions that we are putting, for example, that only aggregated information could be sent in order that the privacy is preserved. And the other part is that we will need to have digital sovereignty, also sovereign the infrastructure, the cloud, and the edge. This means that the machines that will run on all these components and all these things should be also under the control of the ones that are running the services. This is due to some problems that have been in the past with some companies. You know, the big companies in USA, that some problems sometimes cannot assure that the data is not sent to places that it should not be. So we need this in order to fuel this kind of things. In Europe, we foresee that this kind of applications will grow a lot. A lot of them are related to IoT, smart cities, and smart environments. And here, what we want to build is that not a single company does all the process, but different companies are able to do it if they are able to share data and share data services around all these kind of things. So we foresee that this market could grow if the proper infrastructure is built. The key here is the trust in the process, that nothing is not done properly or done in a way that the data goes to places that should not be in any of these. As you know, in Europe we are very good making laws, sometimes not so good making code, but we do a lot of laws. So we have a lot of acts, that is how the European regulation is called, where the first one is the one that preserves the privacy. That is the GDPR. This is all, and this prevents from data going to other places. The AI strategy that we define some cases that are not good for the people and should not go there. There are very extreme cases, the others as allowed. But for data, we have Data Act and Data Governance Act that defines the roles of the people that is going to be used in this kind of data spaces. This means that some will be data providers, or other will be data consumers, and there could be also the role of data traders. This means someone that gets data, put in a market, and later offers to others. This is the regulated framework where we want to build our code. And we want to put, let's say, these acts, this law, in our code in order that are enforced. This means if a data provider is not allowed to do something, the protocols will prevent or at least detect that this kind of behavior is happening. There is also the cybersecurity strategy that is related to the cloud infrastructure, as I mentioned before. And also the digital market and digital services, where we can sell the different, not the data itself, but the services provided via all this data and all these kind of things. So the key is the Data Governance Act, where we have different strategies defined for data source, data intermediaries, and data users. Here, everyone should be identified, and everyone should have a clear role. And the different behaviors that you can have here are only the ones that are defined in the different acts. These data spaces are initially vertical ones, and we have them from health, from industry, agriculture, finance, mobility, energy, public. In Spain, we have also the tourist one. But you can do application that uses things from different data spaces. This is the only way that we have seen that we can break the data silos. That means the companies that not trust other ways of sharing, but here, as is regulatory sound and the protocols and everything will help us in all these kind of things, we will be able to do all this kind of regulation. So, this means that the vision that European is pushing, that the data and the data market only will grow if the infrastructure for this kind of behavior is clear, especially the rules for data providers, data consumers and data traders is very clear, and also that the governance mechanisms are already provided, are automatic, are enforced by the software that we are designing in order to have all of these data. This means that we need different frameworks. The key here is that could be distributed, because I am talking of a simple use case where there is a data provider and a data consumer, but could be intermediaries. I mean, some intermediary could be a data consumer that instead of using the data, aggregates different data, perhaps from different data spaces, filter, clean it, and offer to others. This means that it's not just one-to-one connectivity, but could be a graph or a tree where we have to keep track both of governance and also of data provenance. And we can see, and we must be sure in every moment where the data comes from, how it's going to be used, and what are the different use cases that we are doing there. Right now, this is done via different analysis and different things in the company, and the platform that we are building will try to automatize this, provide different policies in order to have this in a clear language, and build and enforce all this in order to be able to do all these things. The key here is to build trust. Trust should be built around all the different places, and all the participants should be identified here. Should be no one that is anonymous. Tomorrow will be a talk by my colleague Andres that will tell about identity and how we handle all of this, and authorization and authentication that is behind there. But here everyone is identified, and everyone has an identity. The services, the providers, and all the things that are being processed around here. The key is that we are solving the data access control. This is the usual one. We have a solution in order to be able or decide if someone is able to access the data. In a data space, initially the data does not go outside the company that is handling the data unless it's quite clear that the other company is allowed to allow this. So this means that we have a very strong and very well-defined data access model. But the key is the data usage control. This is more tricky because it's what the company that is buying the data is going to do in the future. You get the data, probably you train a machine learning model, or you put it in training an LLM or whatever you are going to do, but you define when you buy that you are allowed to do this. Right now, there is no way to enforce this. We are building some kind of agent that is able analyzing the logs of the platforms that you are using the data in a way that is supposed to be. For example, in the previous example, where they said that data should be aggregated, here they will check that really the data that you are getting is aggregated, and you cannot have any privacy problem if you are sharing any kind of this. So let's say that data usage control is the more complex part of this. We know that in the most generic case, anyone could try to steal the data, but well, for most of the cases we will work, will be the same case that right now is being enforced, the GDPR, the privacy protection law, where sometimes there are problems, but if there are problems, they are going to have a fine and they have to pay money because we have identified that you are not using the data in the right way. This means that probably it's not worthwhile that you steal the data, because the fine means that you will not get real money from all these kind of things. As I said, we have different things and difference there, and we are defining different protocols and services in order to build all these kinds of things and services. There is a lot of projects around here. We have been involved, and I am in different standardization groups, and being part of different board of directors of this. Is very complex, but everyone defines a piece in this. The problem is that there later it's very hard to put everything there, and our idea is to make an agent that integrates the different ways that right now the different connectors for data are being developed, and to define a workflow that is able to make interoperability between all the solutions. Here means that anyone will have not to care which of the different versions of protocols and implementation they are using, because right now it's a bit of a nightmare, and we will try to make just one solution for all kinds of this. There we have a complex scenario where everything is delivered in order to have different specifications. So we are trying to break this problem that is how everything is defined and how everything is accepted via defining a language that allows all the different behaviors that we have now and others that we may have in the future being flexible enough for all these kind of things. So for all these services, we will need different architecture. This means we will need to have security, trust, and federation. As I say, Andres will present this tomorrow. We will have the data services. Take into account that we are considering not only sharing batch data, this means data that is already there, but also that data in streaming in real time. So the services are not just data, are endpoints that are providing data in different formats and in real time. For example, this is the case for smart cities, where the data from yesterday is not of any use to provide you, for example, a route or make any planification for today. Or a retailer that wants to plan, who want to have in the company, in the services for tomorrow. This means the data service and the infrastructure service are not only for batch data, but for streaming and doing this kind of thing. This means that the execution is distributed. We are using also edge computing capabilities and being able to control this. And in parallel, we need to have the governance service that takes care of all of this, see everything that is happening there. This means that we have connections with everything. Everything is stored in a log. In some moments could be even a blockchain, so nobody can change it. And in case that the company does not want to send the logs to a server of a third party, we can deploy agents that analyze this log and decide that the behavior in the governance of the data is the proper one. In this case, we keep the information for the company in case they are having problems with all these kind of things. I am a bit old, and remember how the World Wide Web grew in the 19th, and was developed up to the fact that were very easy to join in. Once you have a URL, you can connect with a lot of protocols that were there before. So this means that you need very easy way to get connected to a platform, very easy way to connect to different identifications. So the network effects makes that this protocol was widely used. In fact, when the world started, the World Wide Web, I remember that we are Gopher and other protocols that the web killed, because we are easy to join in inside the web. Our idea is try to help people to do this. Right now it's not so easy. You need to develop some code because the connectors does not go along all the life cycle of the data, only goes in some parts. And this means that right now to be connected into a data space is not so easy. We want to be as easy as was at the start, the web, that you start even your personal web and put your page and you start to be in the World Wide Web interconnected. And we want to be easy and fast in order that this kind of marketplaces and data economy start to grow, because the company see that there is enough trust in all of this in order to put the data in all these kind of things. So the problem right now we are facing as the interoperability. As I mentioned, we have different, right now, different initiatives that are quite similar, are same but different. They have the similar ideas, but the details on the protocols are not exactly the same. The behavior and the different phases are not exactly the same. So we started to thought how we make the glue in order that all kind of technologies around this are able to interoperate and create a common infrastructure that will allow more companies to join and fuel this data economy that we are wanting to build and wanted to do this kind of thing. So we saw that the agentic AI is appearing, and we saw that could be the way that we can use in order to do all these kind of things. Here we see the agent in the term of, I think was Platon, the one that defines the term of an agent, and it was someone that was active, have a plan and follow this plan to do these kind of things. Here we want to have both the agents being able to use the data in the data space, but to build also this kind of workflow and kind of tools using the Agent AI technology. We really see that this is a game change for a lot of things. Places where right now you have a very complex process could be handled using these kind of tools in order to have this. We see that this is autonomous with high level of autonomy and independence. So means that all the things that they have to do will do it without need for human supervision, and then the interconnection and the task will be more or less automatically. If there are changes in the system, it will adapt. We can use LLM, or even we don't need LLM, probably with a small language model that are not so big, or this is called a small language model, could be good for this, because we are not trying to face in a lot of problems, but very little kind of problems, and probably we don't need a generic LLM for all these kind of things. The key is that we will have a goal-oriented behavior. We want to achieve some kind of goal, and we want to build different steps that are going to define all these kind of things. For this, we are starting, we have already implemented an MCP protocol. The MCP protocol defines different steps and allows you to standardize how the different data and the different things are interconnected with there. We see that MCP is a good starting point, probably is not perfect one, and surely we can adapt to this. In fact, some of the identification and problems with governance are not present here, and probably this protocol needs to be extended with other things that you are there. We have been looking also to the agent-to-agent protocol. This is for the most complex scenario where we want to interconnect different parts of data and do multiple trainings, and which this will allow to have, using the agent cards, what are the capabilities of each of the agent that is built upon each of the data spaces, and how it is connected without all these kind of things. Probably this will be the scenario where the marketplace will have not only the data and data service, but also data agents that are able to connect the different data source and data services that are there, and to build the thing that we need on the fly. This is the final goal for us of this. As I mentioned, the data space paradigm that is mainly developed by the Gaia X initiative is a place where we have a federated ecosystem. The data is not moved like in the European Open Data Infrastructure. In the European Open Data Infrastructure, we have the CCAN servers that are using the DCAT API standard for metadata, where they move and copy the data that is going to be used. This is for open data. But here the data remains under the control of the company that have it, unless they have fulfilled an agreement with another company, and there the interchange will be being used data sovereignty that will maintain the control both for access and both for usage of the data. This is the part. So everything will have high trust in all the pieces. As you know, the trust is as strong as the weakest point in the chain. So we try that all the steps you can enforce and see the trust over all these kind of things. And I said the problem right now is interoperability, and that's why I developed the language that I am going to present in a moment around all these kind of things, and we try to define how this could be done. So, more or less the workflow that we are seeing that a company that wants to share data have to follow. First, have to define which data they want to share. When they have to internal decide what is there. They have to define the conditions. This will be done in a language that allows this. This language is not much human-oriented, so here we will need probably the help of LLMs, so people put there the policies. Right now we are using some kind of inheritance from different predefined policies, so people do not have to do very complex things. But do this, then it publishes the data in a catalog. This catalog right now is belonging to different marketplaces. We are developing also our solution using some open source software, and we publish the data and the metadata around this data. So if someone wants to buy or do this, they seek for the data in the catalog, see if the conditions are right. They publish all the possible conditions. This means that I can offer not just one condition, not one way of sharing the data. That could be some kind of interchange of services or interchange of money or whatever. Remember that open does not mean always free, so here means that could be money interchange, but it's open. In this way we are opening that the company is sharing data that before they would not do this. Gets the point where we get to a negotiation. We are using the open forum APIs for this, that allows you to buy and buy objects and interchange different things. We are using some predefined also contracts that you are signing there. So once you get the proper right, you instantiate the conditions of access, uses, and release the data. You have, or you may define a set of different possible ones, but once you sign, you just say all the ones from the one the company offers where you are accepting. This is made right now like a contract, and we go on. So we have different phases in all this process. Later, you have a strong authentication for data access. This means that once you buy, you have to be sure that this company exists and is the one that already do this. And then we have the access control part. This means that the company that owns the data allows the other company to access the data. We have different use cases. We are considering initially the batch one, but as I say, everything is prepared for streaming data. It's not only access a data set, but to be able to access to a continuous flow of data of whatever information we have that. Here we have the data usage control at the governance. This means that somehow we are controlling in the company that are buying the data how everything is done there. And you may have, when you finish, some post-data usage control. For example, you may have the conditions that you can train a model, but you have to delete the data. So somehow it's assured that this data is deleted, and you can use all these kind of things around all of this. So we try to define these steps. One of the problems is that not all the initiatives follow exactly the same workflow, so we try to build some kind of workflow. We come from big data infrastructure. Our first tries were around different tools that are used for this, like Apache Airflow and similar ones, but they really don't match for the cases that we are doing on this. So we are sure that we need an acyclic graph for the workflow to be event-based, and we saw something from the business process management that we are a language of workflow from the 90s, so I remember that, something like that, but we saw that we are a bit complex and a bit outdated right now. As you know, right now everyone is using the ADA for everything, so as we saw that we can use or try to use LLMs also for this phase. So our idea is to define a language. Instead of defining a language from scratch, we have a look at the different languages, and we identify the AI domain definition languages that are different languages intended for agentic AI to define the workflow and the steps that the different things have to be there. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we try to reuse some of these solutions that we have there. So our idea is the workflow we have presented, and all the possible ones should be defined in this kind of languages, and this means that also the agentic AI or LLMs are able to develop these kind of solutions. The problem with some parts of the process that we have here is that we are involving languages that are not so easy for, let's say, a manager or someone that is not expert, and we want that everyone is able to do it. So with the help of an LLM, they are able to define the policies, and they are able to define the definition language of the steps they want to use. As I said, we provide templates for everything, so it's really easy with the tools that we have to define all this kind of thing. So this way we start to integrate agentic AI in the data space definition. So we take this from different things in the past. These kind of languages are extensible and are very good ones. And we have decided also to use the language for policies. We are working in the ODRL WCC group. We are working with version 2.4, but we are working also in the version 3.0. And there we are working with different profiles that defines to allow the policies what you can do and cannot do with data. The problem with this language is that it's based on RDF and a serialization that is horrible for humans, and we are developing some solutions for humans. We have some solution around Blockly, you know, to do scar blocks, and other that is use some kind of higher language, simplifies that is translated into the real ODRL, that is the one that is enforced inside the platform. So we decide to take these languages in order to have this. Sorry, this was repeated. Authentication and authorization is done via OAuth and Agena protocol that will be presented by Andres tomorrow, and will be done around the WCC BC API, because right now we have to use horrible protocols that is ODC for BP. I don't like this, but well, for now we have to survive it. We have solution for the others. And this means that, at least in Europe, this should be compatible with eIDAS2. eIDAS2 is a solution that will be provided in Europe both for companies and persons that will be using different wallets to keep companies' identities with all the interactions both between persons and the different government service. So it should be compatible with this in order to allow all this kind of behavior. As I said, we will specify everything inside ODRL, that is the new version, and here we will be defining, for now we are defining the access control, and we want to define also the usage control. The access control is here you can define behaviors that you can do and the behaviors that you cannot do. The ones that you can do is easier to use in different workflows. It's harder to do the things that you are not allowed, because this means that you have to be looking how everything is behaving, how everything is interconnected, and starting to do all these kind of things. So, from all the different languages, we have defined to use someone that is called PDDL, the Plain Domain Description Language. There are different versions, and we have chosen the 2.1 because later is a 3 version that includes object-oriented thing, but it makes everything more complex. We wanted to use something very easy. Remember that it's something that will be used inside the tools, and we don't want to have different things. And this language is very well known by the LLMs and are very well good providing different steps and different things around here. So the workflow that I mentioned before, that we are able to define what is the data set that is published. We want to define a point where you have a rendezvous where we take it is from distributed programming, and means that from all the possible conditions, we design exactly what are the ones that we are going to use, and we are going to do this, and then we follow the workflow using this kind of things. It's some kind of list-like syntax, but as well, it's not perfect for humans, but well, it's not so also very horrible. And as I mentioned, people should not be able to see this kind of inner language, but it's the one that will be used in order to use inside the tools and use for the different things that we have to do in here. As I mentioned, we define the workflow in 3 steps. We have the preparation, where we get all the data possible. We need also, if it's a data lake or something like that, we can use the medallion architecture. This means that you clean up the data and you put it in with bronze, silver, and gold labels. There you define all the policies, all the quality and metadata is provided here. As I said, when someone decides to buy, we go via some kind of rendezvous where also if there is interchange of goods or money are done at these steps. This could be done in one single step if you buy, let's say, with one payment. But as I mentioned, as it could be streaming, could be some kind of subscription. This means that you just pay along with each month or each week or whatever you decide, if both agree on this. Here, we are considering also digital signing or some kind of contract, so legally everything is protected. And we move to the operation, that is the one that is done automatically via the workflow that we have shown before, and we define the different endpoints. We have to define also endpoints for the governance because this could go on very long on time. If it's a streaming service, could be, well, I don't know, if years running. We need to have the IDs that shows where the different endpoints for all these kind of services should be. And there the engines will try to see if you are fulfilling the things that you have defined inside ODRL, and be sure that if there are post conditions, as I said, that you have already deleted the data once you have used it, if it is specified this way. As I mentioned, here is quite open for the companies to define what are the possible conditions that you can have there. You can open and use in different ways. So we have developed an agent that will be, we have published some part in open data, and we are finishing, and we will try to open all of this, where we have different modules that take care of each of the steps that we are doing there. Also, some protocols that were defined in order to do the data transfer. We don't like this protocol too much, and we are defining a second protocol because, well, the first one has some problems, even has some pattern problem. We want to be everything standardized via the ATF and the WCC because this enforces that there is no pattern on problems in the different protocols. And we will define all of this and the different steps. As I said, data preparation means that in case you want to automatize the extraction and the ETL process could be also specified in the workflow. So this means that from your data lake could be taken to an intermediate place. Why are we doing here? Because there is a part that is tricky, that is not shown in some moment, and is how you deploy this inside a real company. This means firewalls. This means demilitarized zone. And this means that probably you don't want to connect the core of your data with someone from outside of internet. And this means that data preparation could be in the same company, moving from the core to the demilitarized zone, so in order you can share part of the data. And this is key, as we come also from video conference, probably will need different protocols to open firewalls and assure the connection is done properly. It's easy, but you have to take care on how everything is provided. And this assures more security on all the things that we are providing here. Later, we move to data transfer. As I said, the data could be moved very fast. We have different high-speed protocols and different formats like packets and others to move very fast. But as I said, could be streaming or could be others, because it could be data services or other things. And we want to build this kind of data services I mentioned before, of automatic training and other things. It could be defined also in this workflow language, and this means that could be automatic at build. This data services part is still not so well defined because we are defining the data spaces and the data transfer, but we have, as I mentioned, some ideas, and we are the first prototypes for all of this. The first one is a tourist case where we want to have prediction about different cities in Spain, and we will gather the data using data spaces and automatically train and deploy the model in order we have some kind of predictions over the different things that we have there. Also, we are defining some kind of data space score. As I mentioned, we had problems with interoperability, and each solution probably will be different, and we will accept anything that have a little characteristic of these kind of things as data space, and we are defining different access where we will have a pointing from 0 to 5 in order to define these kind of things. Why are we using the score? Because we want people to improve and add more functionality, and we saw the score as a way of doing this. We have identified different scores right now. These are the first one, and probably we can add more. We have the clear one, that is data quality. How good is the quality of the data, and if it's clear and it's well labeled and all these kind of things. But also we may have legal access, how it is obtained, if there is problem or it comes from different sources or whatever. If we fulfill the different regulation for accessibility for the different things, and even some aspects related how can be used in a different business case models in all of this. Our idea is to make a function that takes care all of this score and puts all together in the difference. So right now we are offering an automatic MCP server that allows the first integration with Agentic AI. As I mentioned, we are using a language that is used in Agentic AI, and we can build Agentic AI upon all of this and use all these kind of things. So we see this data space definition language as something very easy. Our vision, I don't know if you are old enough to have used the torrent. When you use the torrent, you just click on the torrent definition, you download it, and it started a lot of services. You don't care about this, you just download it. Our idea is the same. You define this language. With our agent, you click in a catalog or whatever for a definition of this. It deploys of these complex things without you need of knowing all the details, just knowing that it is sure. As I mentioned, it's quite important that this is not only software but also protocols, and so we are inside UNE and CENELEC, but we won't contribute to ATF and WTC in order to have all this. Right now we are writing an IETF RFC for this process and for the language in order to have all of this. So we want to have this contribution to be able to have different implementations for this, the different enforcement for the ODRL policies. Right now is authentication, authorization, and data access control. We are working with the data usage control part. As I mentioned, we have other advancements with the self-sovereign identity that will be presented tomorrow, and will we be able of doing all these kind of things. So we believe that this domain language is a step to clarify this very complex scenario where we are moving. We want to be able to have a taxonomy of the different steps so people can really do the process of how they handle data. We have double stack because we will have our protocol and the other ones in order to implement this. This comes from how we solve the IPv6, IPv4 problems in a long, long time ago. We will use all the kinds of identify all the aspects and all the services that are inside all this. There is also an initiative in China that are called the Trusted Data Matrix that defines something quite similar, and there we want to have all this be able to be interconnected. This is provided by the support of the Spanish government, and this is the project that we are using to fund our problems and all these things. So, thank you very much, and I will be here in case you have any question.